Bear with me a couple of seconds. Rawr! That's the sound of the bear with me. That's a terrible dad joke. Yeah, if people want to ask questions while we're prepping for the stream, just question in brackets. Ask whatever you want, preferably about Star Citizen, but it can be about YouTube or myself. Yeah, we'll start real soon. Real soon. Right. Let's make the magic happen. Put that up. Put that down. Click on here. Hi, I'm BoredGamer. This is my stupid face. I have got the tail end of Doom Flu, so apologies for that. My voice is still a bit affected. I've got a sore throat. Lungs are a bit dead and a bit blocked up still, but like a billion times better. The more pressing matter was that I stabbed myself in my knuckle with one of those metal trowels that I use for scraping my 3D print plate for resin prints. And I really stabbed it, and a bit of blood spurted onto my face. And I went, "Ooh, I've done something. I've done something bad here." I taped it all up and everything. Fine, I think. Like did it yesterday. Doesn't look infected or anything. I haven't actually looked at it since. It doesn't feel infected. I've got functionality of the finger. I properly vertical cut straight into the knuckle, and I was like, "Oh, that's gone. That could be tendon damage, but it's fine. It's fine." I worry about stuff like that all the time. Anytime I hit myself, I'm like, "Well, I'm dead. That's GG. I've got hit an artery." But it's never been. I've never GG'd yet. So, yeah. Well, that was fun. I was like, "Oh, I've building a Warhammer in the old world army." It's like I'll rebuild the army I used to use when I was a kid. I say a kid, 20 years ago. But I've been playing Warhammer for 25 years, or 40k, or some derivative. And it's like I used to have a tournament army. I was like, I'll remake that in a new system, and obviously make it less tournamenty, so my friends want to play with me. Yeah, first model I printed out for that, stabbed myself like an idiot. I once put an axe into my kneecap. Summer Yeti, that's pretty extreme. That is certainly one up to me. Ramos, thank you so much for that sub. That's genuinely appreciated. Nice, it's been a while. Good to see everyone. Thank you. Appreciated. And thank you very much for all the kind words. You're not supposed to stab yourself in the knuckle. I know that is correct. I now know that. Are you coming to the Bar Citizen on March 2nd? Is this up in Manchester? So I am potentially going to do that. So I was literally thinking about that. If that's the one I'm thinking of, Dark Enigma. I was thinking about that just before the stream. So I want to go up to see one of my friends in Leeds at the beginning of March. And because I'm in the south, it takes me about 4 or 5 hours to get up to Manchester, Leeds sort of area, right? Maybe 4 hours by train to Manchester straight through, a little bit longer to get to Leeds. So I was thinking that I could go up to Manchester, do a bit of a bar citizen, see if anyone else wants to come down, then go to my mates in Leeds, and then house hunt while I'm in Leeds. So sort of stacking a lot of stuff. I need to get my own place. I think Leeds is a good place to look because it's quite cheap. I've got loads of friends up there, and it's close to the CIG studios. I think Manchester's a bit too expensive at the moment to actually grab a house for my needs, because I can work anywhere pretty much, because I do a couple of things for work. I do my Star Citizen / YouTube stuff, and I sell stuff on eBay and websites and stuff, sort of board games and collectibles and Warhammer shit, all that sort of jazz. 36 stitches in your knee. The axe was in my kneecap. Was very bleedy, but I survived. No permanent damage, thankfully. Good job. How did you? I don't want to know exactly what happened. Madness. Come up to Staffordshire. I'll add it to my list. And I'm not tied to particularly anywhere. I will be looking in my hometown for houses, but they are Southampton. I'm currently in for houses, but they're incredibly expensive, and I can't get much for that. I'm not incredibly loaded or anything, but I've been saving for 5 or so years for a house now. So I've got a big chunk of change for that. I sliced open my thumb with a scalpel used for FX modelling. 5 stitches. Yes, so I've got from a mixture of Warhammer / war game modelling and being a head chef, or a chef, I've got various scars. I'm not sure if you can see that one. That one was to the bone. My thumb. Got some of like my knuckles, and my knuckles, the tops of my fingers are slightly damaged and stuff. Oh, relatively, my hands are in relatively good nick, considering, to be honest. That's little scars, but that's going to be a big one that I've just got. Well, I say a big one. That's going to be across my knuckle. I'm very good at complaining, I've realised. Don't forget to do a housewarming present list when you've got a new place. Tickets for the boss it. Thank you very much. Oh, you star. Right. We're doing it in Brewdog. We're doing it in Brewdog. Okay, so I'm pro Brewdog. That was a good location last time. Assuming it's the same Brewdog. I'll see if Cinnamon wants to come up as well. And my mate Kit, because I'm going to be going to hers afterwards, probably, question mark. Yeah. Cool. So one of the things as well is that towards the end of March, it's both Sin and I's birthday, and we're going away at the end of March for a week as well. I don't want to take too much time off. I say too much time off. We'll work it out. We'll be fine. It'll be fine. But yes, if you'd like to ask any questions during the live stream, question in brackets. Very excited for 2024 watershed year for Star Citizen. Lots of Squadron 42 Persistent Universe features. Lots of Squadron 42 features coming to the Persistent Universe, and them sort of rounding out a lot of that stuff. Master Hal, thank you very much for becoming a member, a Prime member, sub member. You subscribe to Prime on Twitch. Cool, thank you, genuinely appreciated. I like money, and also I've just seen some extra money. Travel the map. Oh, you beautiful boy. With the rumoured release date of Star Citizen, how many star systems will we have at launch? A few with content or many empty procedural ones? So, Star Citizen isn't planning to do procedurally generated content for its sort of points of interest or star systems. Procedurally assisted, yes, but that's sort of from their creation. So, you're not going to see, probably not going to see, any sort of like, bam, this star system's just created for a one-off because you found it, whatever. They're going to have plans for that one to be found. They could in the future with clever AI and all their tools and everything and their procedural assistant stuff potentially do star systems that are generated on the fly. Unlikely because of how Star Citizen want to go about the process of making highly detailed planets, and they don't want weird stuff to happen on them. They want it to be super immersive, right? So bear that in mind. How many star systems will we have at Star Citizen version 1 release? I think between 4 and 6, quite genuinely. I think that's quite likely because they're sort of building from Stanton all the way to the Odin system. So you've got Stanton, Nyx, Odin, and then you might get something like Magnus. They might start to do Terra, and there's lots of systems they could do from there. And then once they've got like half a dozen systems in, they can expand out from there, right? So 1 second, my cat wants to be let out. Bye. Cat's being disruptive. She didn't seem to want to go out. She wanted to jump back on her bed when I gave her attention. So she might just want attention. In which case I'll have to remove her from the room. It's not the time for love and attention. She's meowing at me still. What do you want? What? Go now. Come on. Don't be back on the bed. Come on. Too cute. She's too lovely and cute. It distracts me from this, which is a proper job. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. YouTube and covering Star Citizen for the last 10 years is a proper job. But yes. Thank you very much. Travel the map, genuinely appreciated. So yeah, I think that Cloud Imperium and Star Citizen want to have as full a star systems as possible. We don't want to have lots of empty ones. There will be some that are a lot more sort of like, there's nothing, there's less here. It's more sort of like for mining and exploration, and there's less sort of infrastructure. There's lots of different types, right? But a lot more highly detailed than other games and No Man's Sky and stuff like that. A lot more content there that's not procedurally generated. I mean, there's some of the mission stuff is going to be dynamically and procedurally generated. Procedural generation has got sort of a weird connotation to it. People think it's sort of like one-off and random, whereas a lot more randomized, whereas procedural just means using procedures to generate, which is like how the dynamic mission system is going to work, right? But it's going to be based on what's happening in the economy and lots of other stuff eventually. But the actual locations, for the most part, that's not going to be procedurally generated, procedurally assisted in its original generation. Like this planet you can see here, that's using procedurally assisted tech, where they program it with a set of needs. It generates stuff, and then the artists go in by hand and finish off areas and can paint stuff and change stuff. But thank you so much for the donation. That's genuinely appreciated. Will the Andromeda's table work in 2024? So we know that Clan Imperium have been working on some of the stuff for holo tables and holospheres. I'm not sure if that's something that's going to be working later this year, though. Did you get a final reminder letter yesterday? So is this for the experience, which is, was it tomorrow? So tomorrow at 6 p.m, I think it is. Yes, I did. So I've got to do a couple of things tomorrow. I'm doing I'll release a video. I'll probably just, I think I've already got the Squadron 42 roadmap done, so I'll have to just drop that off. And I've got to do a organisation spotlight. I've got interviewing an org, and then in the evening I'm doing that, going on this sort of interesting experience for Star Citizen that I've been invited to. So yes, that sounds really exciting. I'm looking forward to that. I feel a lot better now as well, so I should be able to actually sit down and enjoy it. Yes, appreciated. Thank you. I'll read through it all properly later this evening or tomorrow morning. Will there be difficulty levels in Squadron 42 for expert pilots and crap pilots? I don't know. So they talked about difficulty before, and then we didn't hear much about it. So I'm not actually entirely sure. Progress tracker. Deliverables if I cult. So I don't know. I've not heard anything about it since the early days of difficulty level. So I'm not sure if it will. It might. It's a good question. Would you want it to have difficulty levels? I suppose lots of people would, right? Because some people want to play more casually. It wouldn't be hard for them to put difficulty levels in because you just go... Did we hear something about difficulty levels recently? Just lost over, it's not in my notes. Because all you need to do, right, for difficulty levels is go, you take less damage, enemies take more. It's that simple. So would people want difficulty levels in the game? Or are they sort of like, well, actually, no, I'm fine with it having a level of difficulty that I have to overcome? Single player? I suppose, would it get roasted for not having difficulty levels if it was like, actually, this is quite hard, some of this. Do we have a release date for freight elevators? So, some point in the first half of the year, I believe, is the plan. I'm hoping that we see it for Alpha 3.23, which would be in March, but we don't know for sure. How much can you speak about the same stuff? Infinitely, easily, because I've spoken about it before. Duh. AI is going to use ladders. Would be fun if AI started boarding ships too. So they will be able to. Obviously, AI can move between the thresholds and everything like that. They will be able to technically board ships and fight and understand that a ship is being boarded. I did like them talking about ladders and AI and having the AI be able to go, someone is coming down the ladder, I'm going to wait. Unless I also want to go down the ladder, in which case I'll also go down. I wonder how much you can confuse them, though, by getting on ladders. I'm kind of excited for turret updates on bunkers. Yeah, so this is part of the 3.22.0a that's in the PTU at the moment, in EPTU, in fact. So it gives players more reason to use ground vehicles, and stations are basically better protected, right? Because the turrets are a lot more, have a load more health, they do more damage, that sort of stuff. Yes. So stationary defense turrets, basically, on at stations and at ground locations, they are getting improved. It's in testing at the moment. I want xenomorphs in caves. You will see wildlife. They've talked about xenomorphs and terrible stuff before. Obviously, there's things like the Microtech Yeti, or the Boreal Stalker, I think it's also known as. So you will see stuff like that. You will see threats and aliens. What ship do you think we'll get next? Well, they've got sort of, for the first half of the year, got 6 or more ships, vehicles, and variants all planned. There's a lot they could do. I'm looking forward to the Polaris, which is planned to come out by the end of the year. Muzzy, king of the channel. Oh, thank you so much. That is a privileged position. That's genuinely appreciated. That's a lot of moolah to chuck at us. That's genuinely appreciated. Thanks so much. As part of those sort of... So anyone that is a Patreon or channel member and that's gone the extra mile to help the channel. If you want to contact me on my Discord or my email or whatever, there's something I can do or something you want me to look at, and please tell me. It helps influence the channel. Obviously, if you are super high, like king of the channel or whatever, I'm much more likely to go, yes, of course, I will do a particular video on this topic or whatever. But it goes such a long way to help support the channel, especially during sort of January and June. I think early June, and the whole of January. It's just YouTube sort of monetization jumps off a cliff, and yeah, so genuinely appreciate it this time. Thank you so much. Let me know if there's anything I can do for you, sir. So the other thing is I don't want the channel to ever be overly elitist. I do want, because I do genuinely appreciate people just donating or supporting however they can, even if that's just sort of commenting on videos or sharing them, stuff like that. It all goes to help make my content, right? You think the blast will be released during a big event? So it's quite likely they'll show it off or release it during CitizenCon or the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo this year. Yeah, that's the sort of thing. CIG broke my heart. I feel scammed by customer service rep. Having a very hard time being motivated about Star Citizen now. I'm pretty depressed over it. So we were talking about this last time, right? They were screwing. You felt like you got screwed over. So Yeti, I'll see if I can help shine a light on it. Obviously, I'll have a chat to you and see what's going on to make sure it's genuinely reasonable, right? Or something I think's reasonable, and see if I can poke it at all. Obviously, I've known you for ages, and you've been a massive support to the channel, and you're very pro Star Citizen, and I know that that'd be a shame if they've sort of soured you. When do you expect the Fury LX or XL to be announced or released? So you're talking about the Fat Fury, or you're talking about just a general new Fury variant? So if you're talking about potential new alien ship, whatever, the Fat Fury, we don't know. Probably first half of this year, and we do know that they've got six or more ships to get out for the first half of this year. That's the plan, and we know that there's at least 10 sort of that they want to get done by the end of the year. Let's turn this volume down slightly. On the Wings of Angels? On the Wings of Angels, yeah. What else we got? So I doubt they'll release the Polaris during because they want to get it out by the end of the year. They won't do it at Fleet Week because that's May, right? If you had to fight one elephant-sized chicken... Yeah. See, I think an elephant-sized chicken is more dangerous than an elephant. Right? Or 100 chicken-sized elephants... Okay, so if I can arm myself however I want, I'd probably go for the elephant-sized chicken. Because although I think it would be more dangerous than an elephant, I also think it would be easier to take down. It's not as tough, right? Bird bones, notoriously much lighter, sort of, and fragile. 100 chicken-sized elephants, that's going to be a slog. That's going to be, oof. And are they frenzied towards me? Are they all coming at me at once with a singular goal? Because that's dangerous. That's a swarm. Hello, chat. Was the Perseus after the Polaris? So they're working on a load of RSI ships is the plan, and they want to get the Polaris out first and all its sort of shared content so they can make things like the Perseus and the Galaxy. And I believe it was Perseus then Galaxy, but it might have been Galaxy then Perseus. I suppose we'll see throughout the year. So that they're doing the planning meetings at the moment. I didn't mean to stab myself with the trowel. I slipped. Well, I was trying to chip something off my... something got stuck. Something got stuck on the actual base of my 3D printer, the build plate. So I sort of and sort of chipped at it and just clipped it bounced stab. What's worse, the flu or the stab wound? Probably the stab wound. It's more painful and more annoying that I can't type properly. Does it help you paint miniatures and build your armor? So she's in a different city from me. We're very good friends. She's my employee. I'm incredibly good mates with her partner as well. But I don't think she has any interest in 40k. There was a leak stating that Alpha 3.23 will have as many Squadron 42 features as possible. Well, that's sort of true. I mean, it's not a leak. Clan Imperium have said that they're getting a load of Squadron 42 features in as quickly as they can. So what do I think will make it into that update? So I've got a list of stuff that Clan Imperium have been working on that looks likely for the first half of the year. So that's things like Mastermaids in some form, the persistent hangars and freight elevators, star map updates, FPS combat updates. So star map, FPS combat stuff, Mobiglass updates, things like that look very, very likely. Character updates, things like that look very, very likely for things they can get from Squadron 42. Get into the persistent universe as quickly as possible, right? That are super important. So yeah, I've got most of my Imperial Guard's cavalry army, which I've only base coated, and now I started looking at Legion Imperialis, which is the new 40k epic. So I started printing some stuff out for that, and then I went, Warhammer in the Warhammer Old World, and that is my preferred Games Workshop or Warhammer system. So now I was gonna do an Empire artillery army, so artillery and gun lines, but then I realised I could remake my childhood army with, but hopefully more fun, because it was a tournament army, and I kept on coming like 3rd and 4th at tournaments back in the day. So it was a pretty reasonable army, so yeah. I'm going to make that a lot more gamified and fun. But, that's how I enjoy myself. I'm printing out Warhammer on the Old World stuff. Chaos Chariots. Thoughts on full Gen 12 renderer implementation coming this year with better CPU utilization and GPU. So Vulkan supports, Vulkan integration, a load of sort of graphics improvements. That's all planned to be coming, which will make the game look a bit better, make it a lot more scalable, make it a lot more sort of resource efficient, and puts it in good sort of state for potentially getting VR support and stuff like that. So that's all coming. Some of that hopefully will be coming in 3.23, and hopefully the rest of it by the middle of the year. I say the rest of it, more of it. And can we expect in the future to have ships in the hangar not just appear, but instead come up on lift? So, a lot of the time, you're just going to they're going to say, this is where your ship is in this hangar. Because they're going to say, your ship is stored in this hangar. So they'll then go, you need to take the lift to this hangar. Obviously, they've got the freight elevators that will allow you to call up vehicles and potentially smaller ships. So you can put them in your ship in that hangar. There might be, maybe in the future they'll do it so actually your ship comes out of an elevator as well. I expect less, not more, to start with, right? The lesser version, not the bigger version to start with, if you see what I mean. Don't the houses get more expensive the more you wait? So, mostly true. However, because of a mixture of interest rates and the housing crisis and house prices actually falling in the UK for the first time for a long time, that's not true at the moment. So houses have reduced in between 5 and 15% in some areas. So I am going to be planning to get a house. I'm planning to be able to put in an offer for a house anytime between now and sort of end of March is my goal. Do I believe any of the leaked release schedules and stuff like that? No. So, any leak that you ever see, take with a huge pinch of salt, right? And especially people that are releasing or talking about leaks without any form of sourcing or vetting that aren't reliable news sources, authoritative news sources. I mean, I use that term, but basically vetted and sourced most importantly, information, not just we reckon or this is we're saying that this is the case. I'll say, okay, well, I can't give that any form of sort of credibility because I know that random people can sort of say whatever they want, and if you're a source that's literally fishing for leaks, saying, well, anyone can put in a leak, and we sort of corroborate that with, well, if we get multiple leaks and some people that have previously worked at CIG or whatever, then I still don't give it a huge amount of credit, unfortunately. What I say, unfortunately, just that's my sort of views and opinions on it. You'll see that I typically won't cover leaks that are just random claims. I might talk about some stuff that's sort of on Reddit or whatever, or some stuff that looks interesting. I might have a bit of a discussion about, but it's just sort of like, these are leaks, sort of agent style leaks or whatever. I go, it just sort of doesn't strike me as news. So that's why I sort of stand on it. You'll probably be seeing less in the form of leaks and that sort of stuff on the channel. I mean, if I go to a Bar Citizen, or I know people that have gone to Bar Citizens and they get information that I've talked to about the devs, I'll talk about it as possibilities. Again, that's a snapshot of development at the time from a particular dev. Doesn't necessarily represent the plans from CIG, but it's something to talk about, not so much a leak. The problem I have with leaks is, when typically they're unsourced or they're not sharing sources at all. But that's just me. We'll still talk about some of the stuff that sort of happens, whether it be drama. I mean, if it's sort of not, if it's something that's a lot more confirmed, or has got a lot more weight behind it, then we'll talk about it. Can the SRV lift a Carrack, loaded C2, M2, or Hammerhead? I have not tested the SRV with all the ships, but eventually you'll be able to lift pretty much anything with enough SRVs or tractor beams, is the idea. When I last tested it, I wasn't able to lift too big of vehicles, to be honest. But that could be because it was bugged at the time. What do you think the biggest ship we'll see released in 2024? So, probably the Polaris. If Squadron 42 is released somehow magically in 2024, then it will be the Idris, because they've got the Idris M, and the Idris K. They said it would come out at the same time, basically. Thank you very much for all the kind words. That's very, very appreciated. As a chef, ever think about creating Star Citizen food? Yeah, potentially. Really what I want is, once I've got my own place, I can have some better cameras and that sort of stuff set up to generally stream, and to be able to stream some potential board games, food, stuff like that. When will Star Citizen have the Mobiglass update? I'm hoping we see some of it early this year, actually come into game. Spend more money. Someone was going on about base building in some form this year. So, I mean, basically at CitizenCon, they wanted to get base building in some form in the game by the end of the year. That they sort of said that. I said that it's quite likely that the first thing we're going to see is land claims. That sort of makes sense, because when I talked to Erin in 2018 about land claims that they had planning to get in game. They wanted them in game by the end of 2018, and they had been working on them. So land claims and the legal parameters of that look like they will be coming out first for sort of base building, and then expect them of the smaller scale base building with sort of survey tools effectively by hand, and potentially also done in a vehicle or something like that, because obviously the sort of super large bases are going to be made by Pioneers, or at least the modules for those bases. But the Galaxy and stuff like that as well. They're planning to have a building module, factory module for that. And then you've got fabricators and stuff that can also build modules and ships and lots of different sizes based on the size of the fabricator. In the early years, CIG... Oh, I've lost you. Sorry. What else we got? In the early years, CIG said that although every ship model, excluding Connie, had variants, we would be able to customize the ships. Variants are just preset trims. Any news on that? I think so. I believe that the plan is still to be able to have a huge amount of customization to ships. Obviously, you've got components and weapons. You are going to be able to customize skins, hopefully with a full paint system. But we'll see how that goes. So they've got the tech to be able to do a full paint system, but they would need UI for it, and it depends on which direction they want to go with that. But you should be able to customize to some degree the interiors of ships. Obviously, put different sort of smaller items in there as well that aren't necessarily a module or part of a ship. There's obviously going to be much larger scale modules that can change out entire sections of ships. So yeah, there's a load of variants and customization and stuff like that you can do with ships. That's still the plan. What do you think of the article? I've talked about some of the leaks and stuff earlier. That's true, I do not use Telegram to contact people. I'm too old for Telegram. BoredGamer, what's your take on BS questions? And will we be able to sell blood, brain matter, and more on the black market? They'll probably have cargo for body parts and stuff, right? I love some good BS questions. What else have we got? Do you reckon the base building from the RSI Galaxy will be done with the new Unseen module? So, yeah, so RSI Galaxy is going to be getting a building module. At least that's basically what Cam Imperium said. And that will allow you to build up to large size modules, and then with Pioneer you can build extra large ones. Modules, structures. Will we be able to harvest organs? And that's what we talked about. So, potentially, there are sort of criminal orgs and stuff like that do that. There's been suggestions of cannibalism. There's been suggestions of the sort of the freezing and trading of them, of people or organs, whatever. So potentially in some way. You've mentioned Vulkan in the past couple of videos. So Vulkan is sort of renderer stuff, graphics API. And when we're talking about the Vulkan, typically when we're talking about Vulkan, we're typically talking about graphics API and a set of video updates and features to make the game look, perform better, be more resource efficient, support more advanced tech. Wiley Type, thank you so much. 41 months. I've said it before, best content creator for Star Citizen. Glad to be with all of you for 2024. Good things on the horizon. Thank you very much. Wiley Type, XCIG dev. It's done one of the most popular videos on my channel with me, where we interviewed him and one of his colleagues. Thank you very much for that, and I'm glad you're doing well. Hope you are genuinely going to have a great year, sir. Where's the letter from the chairman? I miss Chris. I agree. I also miss Chris. I want more letters from the chairman. Would it be harder to fight a plurist-sized Chris Roberts or 100 Chris Roberts-sized Polarises? It would be harder to fight than 100 Chris Roberts-sized Polarises because you're basically getting drone striked. I think that the Polaris-sized Chris Roberts would buckle under its own pressure. We'll be able to, as we talked about earlier, this Vulcan question. Will you be able to build your base primarily in more safe areas and systems? Yes. So there's effectively 3 types of area you can build your house, your base. You can build it in the Wild West. You can build it in systems with no protection, just sort of like pyro. Yeah, bam, build it there. You don't have any taxes to pay. You don't have any sort of maintenance to pay beyond, making sure the power and everything's running. But the only defenses you have are your defenses that you've built yourself for that, or to keep it hidden. Then you've got some quite semi-secure places. Yeah, so places that have security. You'll basically put a land claim down, and you'll pay taxes or maintenance. And if anyone comes to your base or attacks it or utilize the resources from land or whatever, they get a criminal rating. Security forces will come along and try and deal with them. You can also build defenses as well there. But your base is not 100% safe or secure, but it's got some protection. And then you've got safe bases, which are potentially, they sounded like they might be invulnerable or very hard to get rid of in safe areas, where basically you've got loads of security, but you'll have to be paying sort of high maintenance costs, whatever. But it sounded like, yeah, that they're in the safe areas. These are effectively indestructible, but you're not going to be able to make as much profit from them because of the costs, and there might not be as good materials and resources on the land there. What else have we got here? What is best in life? To best your enemies, see them driven before you, and hear the lamentations of their women. Oh my god, that reminds me of the Conan NordVPN ad I did. If hangar sizes will be a thing related to freight elevators, as in maybe building a base gives you the largest storage and making it more interesting to build a base rather than storing... maybe, but yeah, we'll have to sort of see how they go with that direction. We don't know yet. Where's the background footage from? So it's a mixture of places from like CitizenCon, some of it's in-game that Zin and I have got, some of it's from Inside Star Citizens. I don't believe there is a plan to terraform planets and areas. You potentially will be able to build biodomes and hydroponics. You might be able to change the topsoil on areas for farming. Do you think the Saber Raven is still relevant? So, Kyle Imperium are doing a gold pass on it, and it looks like Intel are still potentially giving them away in some places like DreamHack and stuff. So I think Intel are in control of giving away Saber Ravens, effectively. So I don't think it's a sort of ship that CIGs sell. And I do think that it looks like they're going to be more Intel and Star Citizen working together in the future. I think they are going to make that ship to sort of make sure it is gold standard and relevant. What else have we got here? Show the picture of the sandworm. Still patiently waiting. So when we get Lear 3 in-game, which could be sometime, then you will have your sandworm. And a lot of people want the sandworm. obviously more shown off for a tech demo, but it is genuinely a planned thing for Star Citizen. Isn't there enough in the game right now that needs attention and correction without the addition of new features? No. So, they are bringing... Squadron 42 is feature complete now. They're bringing in a load of teams from Squadron 42 into the Persistent Universe sort of development sort of cycle, and bringing all of the core features from Squadron into the Persistent Universe mostly over this year. So Star Citizen should be in a really good place. It is not mutually exclusive for them to push new features and get the game into a good state. It's more important, in my opinion, for them to push the game towards a version 1 rather than try and get the game into a really good state and maintain that. Now, a lot of people will disagree with that, and obviously Star Citizen's monetization model sort of is partly built on having the game in a good state. I'm much more pro progress for Star Citizen than I am maintaining order. I want them to release a version 1. That's my vision. What do you think comes first, the new underground bases or the expanded building interiors? So, interestingly, they've been working on building interiors, they've been working on the underground bases, they've been working on the depots. I think we're going to see the new depot stuff first, and then building interiors, and then the underground bases, just based on underground bases, underground facilities. Hello, Bored. Hope you're well. I am well now. I'm doing a lot better. Will we see terminals to claim back our weapons and gear, which we've purchased? So they want some ways of being able to maintain the sort of insurance and lots of ways of ensuring your gear and stuff. They want ways in game of being able to claim back your rare subscriber loot and stuff like that as well. We don't know exactly how that's going to be done, but there will be ways. Expect a bit of a Constellation update at some point. I don't think it's going to be huge, though. So I got Game Glass and love it, but I wondered if you had a favourite shard or ever thought of putting one together for Game Glass. So I haven't... So when it comes to shards and stuff for Game Glass, it's based on what you're doing, right? So if I'm mining whatever, it's going to be very different for if I'm flying combat. Game Glass, I think it's really, really super useful. It is slightly dependent on your touchscreen device that you have available to you, but it will work on pretty much anything that's touchscreen. And I really like Game Glass. It is much of a muchness. I like the customization of its. I like the ability to be able to customize my setup effectively by going, I want this panel, bam, bam, bam. Can you not quantum with large ships in the SRV anymore? So, you are supposed to be able to quantum while holding on to a load of different ships with the SRV. There are some bugs with that. I'm not sure if some of it's bugs or some of it's like, oh, you can't actually create the quantum bubble because the ship's too big. So, now it's saying mass exceeded, yeah. So, the idea is you potentially might need multiple SRVs. So that needs either some balance or for multiple SIVs to actually be able to quantum bubble and take those larger ships. Isn't it a misconception there is feature creep when actually any talk of features is actually just what has always been planned, but not started development on yet? So, Star Citizen has various problems with its development and its long development cycle, mixture of technical debt, stuff that is seen as promises but has changed since. There's a lot of stuff going on with Star Citizen. I trust that CIG will make a genuinely great game, and I like being part of that process, as effectively anyone that is part of the Star Citizen community that's playing the game, that's giving feedback. You're all part of that sort of development process, and I think that's super important. That there are problems with it, for sure, and some stuff they talk about are changes. There isn't a huge amount of feature bloat and that sort of stuff. Like, is it feature creep if they actually get around to doing it eventually? Right? If it's gone, well, actually, we do want all these features, and the reason the game has increased in scope so massively is not necessarily because of feature creep. It's because of, well, they were expecting a much smaller game, got a huge amount of money, went, we're going to make a bigger game, and then did that. So interestingly, one of the big feature creep things that they put in was being able to seamlessly land on planets, which is one of the hugest, most sort of time-consuming and most delay-inducing things they've added for Star Citizen. Do you foresee org supporting game? Yes. We've needed it for ages, sort of updated org features and that sort of stuff. I'm surprised that they still haven't got that in. I'm expecting to see various org updates this year, including being able to share ships and a permission system, and being able to see at a glance who's in what org, maybe even be able to declare org wars and stuff like that. Bear with me 1 second, I need to blow my nose. I've let my cat back in my room, and if she's disruptive, she has to get out again. Sea of Thieves just got added guilds and the ability to gate one of your own ships to the guild use. Do you think CIG will get similar functionality? I hope so. I mean, that's sort of expected functionality, right? That you'll be able to have permissions and go, this is an org hangar, this is sort of ships that are available but to everyone. If Intel have a version of the Saber Raven, couldn't CIG do an AMD version? So they've obviously did a different AMD ship. They did the Mustang Omega, but they could do again a different AMD ship. But I don't think they do a AMD version of the Saber Raven, right? They'd want to keep that very different. I've got a load of labels on my bed, and she's just sort of digging through them. I talked about the leaks earlier. So with leaks, if they're not sourced, not sharing sources, and they're just like, these are true believers, that's, I mean, cool, but I don't. They're not something I will give any sort of credence or belief to. Even if they were accurate at the time, which I think is unlikely, it could be huge changes before that get anywhere near what those leaks were. And Clan Imperium are doing their planning and scheduling now, right? So we talked about that already. Will there be player rep for other players? You know, if a guy you hire is trustworthy and a good pilot, for example. So I think there's going to be ability to see people's rep for a lot of different things. I also think there'll be star systems where you can give ratings to players that do tasks and stuff. So you can go, I'm only going to hire someone that's got this sort of higher rating. So yeah, I do think there will be a rating system part of the Mobigless. Will maneuvering thrusters be treated and upgradable, changeable components? They wanted to have that in. I'm not sure if that's still a thing. Originally, yes. I'm not sure if that is still a thing. Hey, Bod, just wanted to say thanks for all you do. Your videos are a must-watch for me and help me keep up to date with everything Star Citizen. Thank you very much. I appreciate the comments. Thank you so much. First 5 systems, Stanton, Pyro, Nyx, Odin, Magnus. I think that's highly likely. I think Terra, they'll probably want parts of Terra for CG, and they do want Terra in-game. They're obviously going to want some alien cities and stuff in-game as well. They're also going to want Sol and stuff. Any reason not to melt your original Max pledge? Well, if you don't want to lose something that's in that pledge. I don't think it's going to give you any bonuses beyond what's in the actual pledge currently. Do you think there will be some ships that players just don't want? No, I think there's obviously going to be a range of popularity, and even some of the cheaper starter ships will have uses just because they're cheap and can be used as shuttles or whatever. I mean, I'm not a massive fan of the Auroras, for example. When do you think we'll see the first alien NPCs walking around the universe and standing on chairs? Nice. Well, we know, obviously, that they plan to put space cows and potentially even the Star Wars in later this year. I don't think they're going to be using furniture, though. And with server meshing coming soon, my understanding is that if there is a fight with 1,000 people and you're in there, you might leave, grab a new ship or item, then head back, and you might be in a different server, so lost access to the fight. So that's how sort of the system works effectively at the moment, right? There's no way to get back on the same server. There's no shard affinity. So the idea is that with server meshing coming online, the first iteration will allow them to have multiple servers as part of a shard. Yeah, so at the moment, a single server and a shard, they're basically the same thing. But eventually, you'll be able to have multiple servers on the same shard. The first sort of iteration of that is just sort of like having Pyro and Stanton connected to the same shard as their own servers. Bam. And then expand it out so there's actually multiple servers controlling each of those star systems and areas of space. So at that point, we might have shard affinity, so you get back into the same server or same shard. And they might have it so, well, actually, in a lot of situations, there is just one. At some point, they might just go out to go, there's one server, there's one shard, or one shard per region. And you join into that. So that would be, and then if they have dynamic server meshing working the way they want, potentially you could have all players on the same shard, just from everywhere. Potentially, that would be the sort of high-level goal, if it's possible. But until then, yes, it's possible that you will quantum leap onto a different server, a different shard when you come back. That said, you'll be able to join your friends. There's going to be shard affinities, one of the things you'll hopefully get back on the same one that you came off. The stuff will get iterated on and evolve. That they want it so that people want to play, and it's not going to be like, well, this is dumb. It will be in the short term. Will all our ships be in the same hangar so we can move them between one another? So I'm not entirely sure how persistent hangars are going to work. How we are going to call up ships, whether we have to keep on moving. I like the idea of them coming out on an elevator, but it might be that you have to move around the hangar because they're effectively already there via elevator, which wouldn't be too awful, right? And why does the Zeus have so much more cargo space, even though it's same size as the C1 Spirit? I don't know, but we might see some changes before the Zeus is actually in our hands, right? Also, they are unifying the way cargo works again, I think, or I don't know. That's the sizing of items and weapons, actually. Anything else? What is your most hyped ship at the moment? I'm very much looking forward to the Polaris. Really looking forward to, as you can see, the Banner Merchantman, but that's going to be a while out. Endeavour high up on my list because I like science. Pioneer because I want base building, but again, that's going to be quite far out. And there's quite a few. I'm pretty hyped for the Polaris because we're planning to get it this year, right? I'm feeling a lot better. I'm still a bit rough around the edges, unfortunately. Right. I am going to find someone else that is streaming. So bear with 1 second, then we'll wrap up. Who else is actually online? Blah, 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 blah. Twitch. Oh. I do not like being ill. It is lame. I'm going to send you over to my beautiful boy, Moist Noodle, because he is a legend, and he plays Star Citizen. He's a reasonably good pilot. He's pretty good. Right, Flash raid. Boop. Thank you so much for watching today. Genuinely appreciate it. Thank you very much for all the kind words. My voice is literally deteriorating as I'm speaking. Good job. We are ending. Yeah. So we'll be getting videos out on the rest of the monthly reports this weekend. I'll get a video out on general news today because there's loads of stuff going with like the schedule for Reign Commander and that latest 3.22.0a patch that's on the EPTU, which sort of improves. Well, I say improves, makes turrets a lot more sturdier and more deadly at stations and on the ground, things like that. But yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for the continued support of the channel. Genuinely appreciate it. Thank you very much for all the kind words. Hope you're having a great 2024. I'm hoping that in the next couple of days I'm free of cold and I can use my finger properly again. Yeah, go give Moist Noodle some love, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks very much for watching. Oh, support the channel more. NordVPN, things like that.